So today's Cardinal lesson, we're going to teach you about a strategy that we use with a lot of clients. And it's a strategy that's useful in increasing your Roth IRA or 401k balance. Okay, and it's two strategies. One is the Backdoor Roth IRA strategy, which just about anybody can use if you're still working or your spouse is still working. And then the mega backdoor Roth strategy, IRA strategy, is for a certain kind of person that Tom's going to tell you about. Now, why we're talking about this is once clients come into us and they start following us and they start watching this and they engage us for financial planning, they begin to see the merits of increasing your Roth balance, whether it's in your 401k, if you're still working, or it's in your IRA, or you've rolled your 401k out to a IRA, is just you've got a balance. Most people have a whole lot of traditional pre-tax. They haven't paid taxes yet on that, and they've never paid taxes on it, and they're going to pay taxes on it. And that's one of the reasons that people like to start paying the taxes on some of it now before it even gets in there, or to get it in there, they pay the taxes through a conversion. So this is just one more way that you can start increasing your Roth balance. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom, and he's just going to walk you through both of these strategies.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is I'm going to bring up the show notes here just to get them. We can take a look at them there. I'll refer back to them a little bit, but we're going to spend most of the time today on the board. These show notes, so you can find them at the link below of our video. They're also on our website. But again, we have the picture of the board. One of the things that we oftentimes get when clients come in is they know a little bit about these rules and they've sort of heard that, if you make above a certain amount, I can't put money into a Roth. And so one of the first sort of page in the show notes kind of goes through, and this is the sheet that we use in our practice, but it goes over a lot of the um, rules around IRAs and 401ks. But the important one for today's show is this one down at the bottom, the phase out for income in terms of who can directly contribute to a Roth IRA. And so just to summarize this is if you're a couple, if you're married and you make above $228,000, you cannot directly contribute money into a Roth IRA just right off the bat. There's some other things you have to do, and we'll go over that in a second. For a single person, it's 153,000. Don't worry too much about the phase out. If you're in that short window of income, call us. We can sort of walk you through the rules there. But ultimately, if you're above those top limits, you can't directly contribute to a Roth IRA. And then the next page and their next document in the show notes really is pulled from the IRS limit. And the main thing I just want to point out is the maximum contributions that we can put you personally could put into 401ks. And so we'll get over that in a second. So let's go back to the board here and walk through sort of how these strategies work. We're going to do the top section first, and we'll go down to the next one after that. But the top part of the board is the backdoor Roth strategy. And so this is for people who, let's use a couple in our example, they make above $228,000, but they also want to contribute to a Roth IRA. They can do it through this backdoor Roth strategy. And so how this works is you make a non-deductible contribution into a traditional IRA. So we're not putting it into a Roth IRA, we're putting it into a traditional IRA, but we're not getting the tax benefit in that year. And then immediately after you've done that, you can then convert it to a Roth. And so we have effectively gotten it into the Roth IRA without putting it in there the first step. And so it's just one extra step that you have to do, but you're allowed to then get it into the Roth IRA, and it sits there and grows tax free. And so if you make above this income limit, you want to contribute to a Roth IRA, this is a way that you were able to do so. We have the maximum contributions listed here. If you're under 50, then the total you could contribute doing this is 65,000 or 6,500, excuse me, per person. So if you have one person who's working in a relationship, both people can contribute the 6,500 if they're under 50. Most of our listeners are over 50, so that limit is $7,500 per person. And so, for example, like Hans, he's working, Rhonda isn't. And so he could contribute 7,500 for himself and 7,500 for Rhonda into a non-deductible or into a traditional IRA, not taking the tax deduction, and then convert it to the Roth IRA. We have sort of a caution in the middle of this board, the beware the pro rata rule. I don't want to get too deep into the details how this rule works. If you have questions, call us. Really, I just want to caution you. If you have traditional IRAs already established in place, don't do this on your own. I mean, it could cause problems when you try to convert it. You can't convert the whole thing. It gets kind of complicated. So just know if you have traditional IRA money already in place, this might not be a great strategy for you. Any thoughts on that, Hans?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure the last comment is if you have traditional IRA money already in place, just call us or get with another professional that is aware of this, because you can still take advantage of this. This pro rata rule is just going to bite you if you don't know what you're doing. I think that's the point that Tom was trying to make.
Yeah. Let's go down to sort of the second half of the board, the mega backdoor Roth. And so the top of the board, anyone really can do this. Not everyone can do the mega backdoor Roth. So it takes some specific situations to be allowed to do this mega backdoor Roth. But I'll go over what those situations are, and then we'll talk about how it could work. The first thing that you need to have available in your 401k plan is your 401k needs to allow for after-tax contributions into the 401k. This is different than contributions into the Roth 401k. It's different than contributions into the traditional 401k. It's a special, specific classification. It's an after-tax contribution into essentially the traditional side of the 401k. So first, your 401k needs to allow for that. Secondly, the 401k needs to allow for either an internal Roth conversion inside the 401k. That's where you take money in the 401k, convert it to a Roth part of the 401k, or it needs to allow for in-service distributions where we can roll those contributions out of the 401k. So you need both of those to be in place to be able to do this. But if those exist, then you are able to really supercharge your contributions into the Roth accounts. And so I'll go through an example here in a second. One thing to note is the total amount that can go into the 401k. And that's either your contributions or the employee or the employer's contributions is $66,000 for 2023. If you're under 50, if you're over 50, it's $73,500. That's the total amount you can go into a 401k. And so let's walk through an example. I think this will help make the point. Is if we have in our example, we have a 55-year-old person who's still working, and he's maxing out his Roth contributions to the 401k. So he's putting $30,000 into the 401k, into the Roth side of the 401k. His company matches that, and this company's putting in this example $15,000. So the total amount going into the 401k in these normal situations is $45,000. He could then make an additional contribution to the after-tax contribution into the 401k of $28,500. That gets up to the $73,500 total maximum, and then convert that $28,500 to a Roth, either the Roth 401k or Roth IRA. So it's a way to really supercharge, Roth contributions going into these 401ks. Definitely don't try this at home. This is not available to everybody. We looked into it for our 401k. Our 401k personally doesn't allow for this, so we couldn't even do this if we wanted to. So again, it's not available to everybody, but who it is available to is a great way to really beef up their Roth contributions.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And what I want to add is this top part of the board. I mean, if you're married, you can put in 15 grand a year. If you're married and over 50, like I am, you can put in 15 grand a year. And you're saying, well, why would I want to do that? It's not deductible. Well, but you're getting it into an IRA that's going to turn into a Roth, and you're not going to have to pay taxes when you turn it into a Roth. So this is a way to increase your Roth balance. As I'm approaching 65, and then 70 is when I'm going to kick all this stuff in gear, I can clearly see the advantages of having a big, large Roth tax-free income account. So don't overlook this. And then if you're still working, you have a high income, what you're doing here on this bottom one is you got to meet all these criteria, but you're taking advantage of this $73,500 limit that can be contributed to the 401k. And what you're dealing with, and I'm doing it on mine, is you have a $30,000 maximum that you can put in, and then your employer gives some kind of matching, but that's usually not even as significant as the 15,000, but whatever it is, and that's going to be well short of the 73 grand. So you're just taking advantage of an IRS rule, a retirement plan regulation rule, and you're going to do it through the same thing as a non-deductible contribution. And what I want to emphasize is this is not a product. We're not selling this product or that product, the backdoor. This is a strategy of every single IRA and 401k out there. You have to meet conditions, and your 401k plan, of course, has to accept this bottom one. But we can go through and possibly help you do that as long as you're in line with wanting to build up a tax-free account. A tax-free savings account is what it really means for your retirement.
I think another point to make on this backdoor Roth, this top part of the board, is if you have just a lot of savings, you are a good saver, you have cash just sitting in the bank, you don't really know what to do with it. And this would be a way, if you have additional money sitting onto the side and you meet all these criteria, put it into the Roth, because now any investments you make in that is tax free. It passes on tax free. You just don't need to worry about taxes on it. You already have the cash to do so. So people in that situation, this makes a lot of sense, just to start putting more money into tax free accounts, which is tax free is always better than, I like the word free in anything, right? So if we don't have to pay taxes on it at any point, that's great.
Yeah, and the backdoor piece of this is you otherwise couldn't make these contributions through the front door. If you follow all the rules and you read all the rules, you say, I can't contribute to a Roth, I can't contribute more to my 401k. And so the backdoor piece means there's a way to do it through the back door, and it's really through the front door. You're doing a non-deductible IRA contribution. So as long as this still is available, and they might put an end to this, but as long as it's still valid, I'd consider taking advantage of it. Now, what I want to do now is I want to go through and I want to take the 7 check boxes that we have here on the outside of the board, which really represent the holistic financial planning, the holistic retirement planning. These are the 7 subjects that we're going to address and help you make decisions about and plan around, plan for, plan to benefit. And so what we do on every video is connect the material that we taught you today to any of these 7 worries that it goes with. So starting with Social Security, there's a real advantage when you ultimately file for your Social Security, which a lot of people delay till 70, to have tax-free income beside the Social Security check, significant tax-free income coming out of a Roth to go along with your Social Security, and that could make your Social Security tax-free or very low tax as well. Then this whole topic is IRAs and 401ks, and in all our financial plans, we're going to take a hard look at your IRAs and 401k money, which is where a lot of people have most of their money, and we're going to form a strategy to get it out of there without paying too much tax, and that it's going to last your whole lifetime, and that you're going to meet all the rules. And there's tons of rules around IRAs. So this is a way through the back door to get around some of those contribution rules. As far as income, income as well. The whole purpose of a retirement account is to set up an income in retirement. And the purpose of a Roth IRA or 401k is to create a tax-free income in retirement. For estate planning, many people use Roth IRAs to do their estate planning. Their ultimate plan for the IRA is to leave it to the next generation or to leave it to their spouse. And then the Roth strategy or strategies, and all the things you're doing to get it over to the Roth make, after you pass away, your heirs will receive this money tax-free. So, and then obviously the seventh section that we deal with is income taxes. And this is a whole tax strategy. That's what retirement accounts are about. Is there a way to really over time minimize taxes? And unfortunately, they end up a lot of times creating high taxes because people have just left the money there in pre-tax as long as they possibly could, and then they pass away, and it creates a tax bomb for the next generation. So these are the 7 worries. I want to bring Tom back on. And Tom, have you got anything more to say about this backdoor Roth IRA strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one thing that you said, Hans, makes is I would definitely advise on is don't do this at home. I mean, there are a lot of rules around here. You miss one rule, you could really mess all of this strategy up. So if you're going to go down this path, call us, talk to a professional, do someone who knows how these work, because we don't want you to get yourself in trouble just because you've watched the video. But this is a wonderful strategy that can be used to really beef up Roth money when otherwise you didn't think you were eligible to.
We're licensed in 50 states in the District of Columbia. We serve most of our clients through Zoom meetings. So we're here to serve you. I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.